I think people are still going to on you no matter what. I really do. I really do. All right, Foreplay presented by Barstool Sports. More than ever presented by Barstool Sports. Been about a month into this thing. Dave owns Barstool. We've talked a ton about it. I'm very distracted by the fact that Dan kind of teased us. We got myself, Frankie, and Dan. Trent's at the Barstool Classic in Philly. We only got 3 of those left the whole year, which is fucking nuts. Football's back, which is nuts. Ryder Cup starts 2 weeks from Friday, which is nuts. But Dan, so before Frankie came on, Dan was in like 3 rooms over in his apartment trying to talk to me and Busch, like he was standing right next to us. So we were like leaning into our computer to try to hear him. And I believe what he said was something to the effect of, you can't listen to every single little comment that you see, but when you see repeating trends that you might have to. And then he's in classic Dan fashion. He was so giddy about this revelation or whatever it is that he, before we went on, was just laughing to himself, telling us that he has a big announcement. So we can't really do anything else on the show until you explain yourself, Dan.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this moment for about 4 days. Okay. Look, I have a hat problem. I'm not afraid to say it. You know, I think as I mentioned, you know, before we started recording, you don't want to listen to every comment from the public because we live very public lives and you're going to get a lot of comments from the public. But when you start to hear something consistent for months and months and months, perhaps it's time to take note. So I've been seeing a lot of comments that my hats suck and that my hats don't fit and I don't know how to wear a hat. And I tried to deny it. I did. I tried really hard. I said, you know what? My hats look great. All these people are fucking losers. But this weekend, I was out drinking with my wife and some other friends. And I said, Emma, I got to ask you. She said, what is it? I said, I got to ask you, do you think I have a hat problem? And she goes, I've been waiting for you to ask that.
Wow.
And I said, what do you mean? She goes, you have such a big head that, yeah, the hats you wear just don't fit. They just don't fit. And I said, but I love these hats. You know, we come out with all these cool hats. She said, your head just doesn't fit them. So from here on out, I will be wearing these types of hats. This one right here. Do you see the wide brim, boys? You see how it has enough room for my dome, for my noggin, the old trucker style? This is the style. This is my hat style. Allison Pilar, I'm going to be your guy for the trucker hats. But these cool hats that I've been trying to wear, they just don't fit my noggin. They just don't fit my dome. And it feels good. It feels good to accept that I have a hat style. And I think people are going to notice that I'm going to look a lot more professional because I'm going to wear hats that fit my head. So I hear you. All of you have been telling me, poor guy. The comment that really set me over was we posted an ad, the Golf Pride ad with the gloves, the Asher Golf combination, and the guy wasn't mean, and that's what it was. He wasn't mean. He wasn't saying you look so stupid. He goes, this poor guy just can't get a hat that fits, and that's the one that said, you know, this guy wants me to succeed. He wants to help me. So I took that to Emma, and she said he's absolutely right, and here we are.
So which hats can you not wear?
Like the ones that are unstructured flat brims, I love them. Okay. I think they look amazing. I will continue to promo the hell out of them because for most people with normal size heads, they fit well. But I'm at like a 7 5/8, which is a very large head. And that, I guess I have like a wide forehead as well. They look stupid. And I'm finally accepting it. And I'm coming home and I found a hat that works. And it feels like a big weight's been taken off my shoulders, to be honest with you.
I think people are still going to shit on you no matter what. Fuck. I really do. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think that hat looks bad. That's the pond hockey hat from Sand Valley. Really cool hat. I think it looks great. I really do. But I still think that you're going to get shit on and get affected by it. That's my guess, if I had to guess.
Yeah, look, you're probably right, but I just think the definition of insanity is trying something over and over again and expecting a different result. And so I'm going to try to switch it up with the hats.
Man, from a guy that like is deep in the golf world with all this stuff that's going on, and like you've got new series coming out and all this stuff. When you said you had huge news, I just didn't think it was going to be the type of hat you were wearing. I'm extremely underwhelmed, and I'm disappointed, to be honest. I'm like, you know, there's so much that I thought could have been coming out of your mouth aside.
Was there any guesses? News. Any guesses going on in your brain?
Dude, he said he had big breaking news. I'm like, I don't know. Someone's dropping out of the Ryder Cup, and like they saw JT practicing, and he like can't hit a golf ball, and like they've dropped him from the team. My mind was racing.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't wear this flat brim hat anymore. It's just like, come on, man.
Listen, in my brain, it's bigger news than the Ryder
It is
Cup.
huge. It's big news. It's as big as your head, but it's like there's just a lot that could have happened there. But listen, I'm happy for you. I'm a hat guy myself. I can't wear some of those cool guy hats. It makes me look like I just got out of treatment. And so I've just had to. I've learned that a long time ago that there's certain hats that I can't wear, and I just move on with it. And I just
there was a guy who told me that I looked like I had tumors on my head, which also was a little bit troubling. You guys seem to be familiar with that line of commenting, so it would have been like maybe kind of sweet if you guys said something. But I feel more at home in this hat than I've felt in my 13 months at Barstool Sports.
Yeah, well, it's one of those too. I mean, it's a huge deal in your world, and pretty much in no one else's world is it a big deal at all. Anyway, nobody.
Yeah, but I live in my world, so
it is your world. You're stuck with it. That's it. That's what you got. Congratulations, Dan. That's great. That's fantastic. Chevrolet, baby, a nationwide dealer network. Chevrolet has over 1,900 certified EV dealerships and over 5,550 EV-trained technicians. 1,900 certified EV dealerships. I don't even know how you could begin to build a dealership, to be honest with you. Any dealership.
Inventory always blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind. Like these places that just stock these buildings, whatever product it may be, but you have the wherewithal and the trust and the data. And like, that by putting all that money into this place, think about how much money is inside a dealership. All those cars are just on the lot and they're inside. And you're just like, this is going to work. Like people are going to come here and purchase these. That blows my mind.
And if you're wrong, you're just out of business. It's over.
Yeah. And Chevy's been in business for 100 years. So they've just been correct.
They've been over at Chevy. They've been in the electric car game for over 10 years, electric vehicle game. They have the knowledge and skills to sell or service a Chevy EV. It's true you have less routine maintenance on electric vehicles, but if you do need maintenance on your Chevy EV, they have technicians that are EV certified. The nationwide dealership is a true value to consumers because they are there for you with any electric vehicle question. Do yourself a favor. The bow tie, they've been doing it for a century. They've been doing the electric vehicles for over a decade, and you can learn more at chevy.com/electric. So go there now. Look at these beautiful pieces of machinery. Machinery meets art, meets the future EV, and go check them out at chevy.com/electric. Football's back. Hard not to talk about that. Yesterday, speaking of underwhelming, I thought the games yesterday in general were pretty underwhelming. There were a few good ones. Not a lot of scoring. Not a lot of great, close games. Just kind of a shit day. If you're going to rank day ones, NFL Sunday, the whole deal. Tonight's a big game. So when this podcast comes out, we'll have Frankie's Jets versus hosting Busch's Bills. You guys have been chirping about this for 4 months, it feels like. So we asked Busch beforehand, who flew to LA this last weekend to go to a Jonas Brothers concert and then flew home yesterday. So I think he made a 2-day trip to LA, which I have no choice but to respect. It's not a quick trip. It's like going to fucking Rome for you guys. I mean, it's basically going to Rome and back. He went to California and back, and he is back, and he's gearing up for the game tonight. He admitted beforehand, well, Busch, you could talk to Frankie about it, but tonight's probably the biggest game of the year so far in football.
Yeah, I mean, I said to you before, I'm nervous because I've been talking a lot of shit. So there's really on the Bill side, it's really a lose-lose because if you win, you're supposed to win. If you lose, well, what the fuck are you talking shit for? And then
I don't know that you're supposed to win. I know the line
is -2.
I know the line is -2. It's basically a pick 'em. The Jets have an entirely new way of thinking, an entirely new brand going into this year. They did start the year 7-3 last year, and then they had injuries. Breece Hall, who's going to be back tonight. They have guys that are just going to vault this team back into contention. Aaron Rodgers at the helm of it all. An amazing new wide receiver squad to complement Garrett Wilson. I'm very excited. One of the best defenses in the league. I'm very excited for tonight. I hope that I have an event at 5:30. I hope that it's over around 8:30. I'm sure this game won't start until like 9 with all like the Monday Night Football stuff that goes on. It's crazy how late these late games, like that Giant game last night, starting as late as it did and it being 40-0 at MetLife Stadium, is one of the biggest travesties in Sunday Night Football history. I mean,
pouring rain.
Dallas
Imagine
Cowboys.
you went to that game.
What?
Pouring rain too. Imagine you went to that game.
Pouring rain, Giants, Cowboys. You're like, this is amazing. This is the rivalry. You're just gearing up for a new season. The Giants made the playoffs last year. They snuck a win out on the road in the playoffs. They're excited. Saquon's back for a full year. Everyone's going crazy. Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, and they just lose 40-0. That number's not even real. I took my contacts out at that's how I show total disrespect for whatever I'm watching. If I just take my contacts out, I can no longer
incapable of seeing it.
I can no longer watch you in high definition. Like I've lost all wanting and needing of seeing all the little details of that game. I don't even want to see what time it is. I don't want to see the score. I don't want to see who's the guy that's even in. I don't want to see numbers on the jerseys. I just want to see the blobs moving around while I scroll my phone. That's the only thing I care about at that point. And that happened in the second quarter last night. I just didn't give a fuck. The Giants are pathetic. That's a pathetic loss. And it's great to have football back. I love multi-screen watching on Sundays. I got the iPad on my lap. I got 2 TVs up there. One had the Joker on, who absolutely dominates. That guy's insane.
Beast.
24 majors. That's crazy. And then you have football on. You got Red Zone. Hansen is just that guy. How does that guy have that energy every single Sunday for that many hours? It just blows my mind. He's one of the best fucking entertainers that we have in this country. It's just great to be back. I love football. I absolutely love Sunday football. It's the greatest day to just sit there. I made Philly cheesesteaks on the Blackstone last night. I had a couple friends over. I made some sliders. It was great. Some manly shit, watching football, making sliders. You kidding me?
How's the Blackstone, your operational ability going?
Good. It's real good, actually. It definitely uses a lot of that propane, that propane gas that we were talking about with Jersey Jerry. It uses a lot of it. I feel like I'm cranking that thing maybe too high. Because my tank is almost halfway gone. I've only used it 2 or 3 times. So, but I learned the seasoning. It looks good. It would approve Kyle Timms, that Blackstone grilling douchebag that we have on our team. He would approve of my Blackstone top. I seasoned it, so it looks pretty good now. It's all black and you can't see the bottom of it. It's got a layer of oil on it now. I see what the whole craze is. It's satisfying when it happens. You put this oil on it and you let it burn off, and basically it creates just a layer of black oil that you can't, now you're cooking on top of that and you're not making any of the scratches on the actual plate. You know what I mean? It's a nice little layer.
Clean.
That
Keeping it clean.
It's clean as shit. It's clean as shit.
Yeah. Presentation, I feel like in anything you're doing cooking related now has taken precedent almost to anything else, or it's on that level. You got to present it nicely. All right. Ryder Cup. So I got the shirt on. You can still get some merchandise stored at barstoolsports.com. Thanks to everybody who bought stuff. But we are a little over 2 weeks out. I keep having to retrain my brain that it starts on a Friday because I feel like that week, Ryder Cup week, you start to get all hyped up on Monday. You're pretty much juiced up like it's the Masters on Tuesday. You can't wait for that fucking thing to start. They don't start till Friday. So you got to really calm, stay patient. But the United States team was there this last weekend. They did a quick weekend trip to Rome, 36 holes. Shout out to Jim Furyk, who at the dinner was rocking the 1999 Brookline Ryder Cup shirt. Loved that move. And then we had 3 guys from the team. Spieth, Cantlay, Xander did not make the trip, but everybody else was on the trip. Brooks was there with his long hair. Just nice to see the U.S. squad out in Rome getting their first look at Marco Simone. Nobody has played it before, I believe. Not a single person on the team had played it before, whereas the Euros, most of the guys, or at least a good amount of the guys, have played it because of the Europeans tour stop or they've made trips. I saw Rory was there today with his backwards hat on hitting shots after an absolute meltdown yesterday where he just couldn't hit a wedge to save his life. But yeah, U.S. team at Rome. In Rome, I guess, got me all excited. Looked like a really fun, buddies trip, to be honest with you. They were at some sick fucking restaurant in Rome on Saturday night. Post that picture. I can't even imagine. You get all these young, rich guys that are all pretty good friends, and they just play golf, and they've still got 2.5 weeks out, so they're probably in a pretty chill, stress-free mindset. and they're in fucking Rome drinking wine. All they got to do is probably take their PJ back the next day. That must have just been as delightful of a time as you can have on Saturday night in Rome with the fellas. So very jealous of that trip.
And they had Alabama, Texas on that Saturday, which was Scotty Scheffler versus Justin Thomas. Which, I mean, you add that in the mix where everyone's watching the biggest game of the night. You're in Rome. I'm not even sure what the time difference was there. I'm sure it was like right before dinner there or something, or maybe was it late?
No, I think it was late because the game was at 7, so it would have started at like midnight.
Yeah, so those guys were up real late watching that game. So maybe a couple of drinks, maybe a couple of vinos in the boys watching that game. I mean, I would have paid a lot of money to be in that room to watch Justin Thomas see that loss because that's just a devastating loss for Alabama. Texas, hook 'em, baby. I actually am on the Texas train this year. I bet them pregame there. That was a great just betting Texas, just money line to beat Alabama in Alabama was a great feeling. And then they show up and it's just like, that's an amazing game. But yeah, the Ryder Cup team, that was good juice. I like to see that. That's that like locker room stuff that you want to see. The boys are having fun. Brooks is wearing that hat with his hair coming out like a hockey guy. The hats are horrific, by the way. I mean, they just can't figure out.
They look like they're from uniforms. 1995 Mario Kart or something.
Just the color brims, and it's like, what are we doing here? It looks like a Little League Baseball All-Star hat.
Am I right, Dan, that it's usually the captain's wife that picks the outfits?
Yeah, I think the captain's wife has some sort of role, definitely in the gifts that they give the players. But I mean, I don't want to talk bad about another brand, but Polo Ralph Lauren's been at the wheel for a little bit, and they're just not cutting it. And I actually saw a tweet that was My Golf Spy, which is like golf reviews, and they said, "I'm just going to go ahead and say it: Barstool Sports made better Ryder Cup merch than Polo Ralph Lauren." Yeah, it's not even close. I think if the boys were wearing the sweater that I'm wearing right now, this Unreal sweater that we have with the little like. People would comment like, "Wow, I need those." So huge shout out to our merch team because I'm gonna be wearing obviously all Barstool, Ryder Cup stuff over there in Italy. I'm gonna look way better than the team, especially with my new hat.
It's a bit of I feel like Polo Ralph Lauren has really been a very rare brand that has been on the wrong side of golf shifting. And right, like they just 10 years ago, the Polo Ralph Lauren golf brand was in. Like they were nailing it. That was kind of what you wanted to be in. You couldn't miss if you showed up playing a nice country club round where you're, walking on eggshells. You don't, one of those places you don't believe you're supposed to be at, like Dan's club, and you show up and you got like a nice Polo Ralph Lauren outfit on. You're good, man. You're safe. You look good, classy, the whole deal. And they've just gotten run over. I feel like they just kind of missed it. They haven't really shifted, or if they have shifted, they just don't nail it. They don't nail it. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look right. It kind of sticks out at this point. Whereas all the other brands, Peter Millar, who we work with the most, but Unreal, all those brands, like they've just shifted and evolved, and it's fucking worked with the hoodies and the crew necks and understanding the trends and whatever. And so you're right. It's been years and years and years, though. It feels like that the Ryder Cup team gets shit on for their outfits almost every single year. This year is going to be another one. That stuff looks, I mean, what you're wearing, I was wearing that this weekend. It was chilly at night back home in St. Louis, which is such a delight. We had a nice chilly night in Wisconsin, too. We were out there putting and just threw that crew neck on, and you're just popping, man. That clean Ryder Cup trophy look, and then the little stripes that our crew threw on there, they just fucking nailed it. So yeah, our gear is way better than their gear, which is actually it's kind of a shame.
Most of the time, it is a shame. I feel bad for the guys. Most of the time with those outfits, I feel like you watch a Ryder Cup from like 1997 and you're like, what the hell were they thinking with those outfits? These ones are so bad where in real time you're thinking, wow, we're going to look back on these in 10 years and think, what the hell were they thinking with those outfits? So when it's so bad that you realize in the moment that we're going to look back on this in 15 years and think that this looked terrible, it's usually not a good sign.
Speaking of bad, team gear and not wearing hats that fit. Remember Tiger at the 2019 President's Cup with his hat when he just couldn't figure his hat out in Melbourne?
What,
Do you remember that?
Did he ditch it?
I don't know.
Oh, 2019 President's Cup hat, Tiger. Well, dude, it would sit on the top of his head. But
yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, he
they had the one with the big front. Yeah.
And it just wasn't even close to the point where I think he had it was like a big wrinkle in the back of the hat because it wasn't sitting anywhere close. So yeah, I mean, the team gear, it feels like, again, for as long as I can remember, has been pretty fucking shitty. And if we're going to shit on the U.S. one, the European team, I don't feel like is much better. I feel like a lot of their gear kind of stinks too, usually.
Well, their color scheme looks like it's something out of a cartoon. The blue and the yellow, it's just not really evoking the UK. It's not really evoking, Spain or Norway or anywhere where these guys are from. It just feels like kind of random colors that they put together.
Yeah. What do we think about the JT was getting roasted last week for the pool noodles post that he put on Instagram? I get that it was a little bit easy to jump on and whatnot. And they're saying basically Team Europe was celebrating when they saw that. But I kind of like that you got your guy grinding out there and just trying to find something with the fucking pool noodles. I kind of enjoyed that, I feel like.
The pool noodles seem to be like a little bit much. It's just a bit of a George Gankis aesthetic where it's like, whoa, is this guy like on a driving range somewhere, or is he one of the best players in the world? But I saw that he I think he might have told Dad to kind of sit down a little bit from what I'm gathering. I saw Todd Lewis had a report where he told Mike Thomas, like, I want to own my swing. So I think JT, I don't think that Mike Thomas was with him at the Wyndham, which if you've followed golf for a long time, Mike Thomas is everywhere. I mean, he's always with JT, flying in the jet, right behind him, taking videos, practice swings. So, JT's 30 now. I don't know if it's kind of a feeling where he's like, all right, things aren't working and I want to try something different. I don't know if he wants to become a little bit more independent, but it seems like he's taking quote unquote ownership of his swing, which is always kind of a funny term because they say that all the time. I want to own my swing. It's like, yeah, I want to own my swing too. Doesn't everyone want to own their swing? But it looks like he's made a move, or at least a half move, since all these struggles.
There was a little bit of controversy around this. I saw Todd Lewis was like defending his story. I saw on Twitter, and I think like JT and his dad or one or the other had both kind of jumped out and been like, no, that's not the case. We're obviously working together, but it feels like a little bit of a Tiger influence, right? Like that was Tiger's kind of big thing when he came back in 2018 when he made that big comeback, was that he didn't really have a swing coach for the first time, which every other time they kind of had these eras of Tiger Woods. It was like when he first came out and Butch, and then when he dropped Butch and he went with Hank Haney, and then he had Sean Foley, and then he had Como for a while. It was like he had these eras almost. Shout out to T Swizzle, these eras of like his swing coaches. And then when he came back in 2018, he was like, no, I'm pretty much just like, I got it. I'm going to figure out my swing on my own. And so JT, Tiger, the fact that they're that tight could be a little bit of an influence. But I don't think you'll ever get to the point where you don't see JT's dad all over the place. I mean, they have that kind of relationship. It's not like it's the Xander with his dad relationship, which feels a little bit weird and strained. I feel like JT and his pops are about as tight as you can get. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, they're definitely tight. He travels with them everywhere. It's almost like, how we when we're struggling or we want to train something in golf, we've got like one swing change that we think, all right, this is what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. I feel like the professional version of that is like changing up your coach situation. Remember Rory McIlroy went to Pete Cowan for like a day when he was struggling really badly, and then he went on by himself. And I think whenever you got a guy working with a new swing coach, it's sort of like it's a change of scenery. It's like you're telling yourself that you're starting a new chapter because you're like, oh, well, yeah, I struggled for the last 3 months, but that was before I took ownership of my swing, whatever that means.
I remember with the Rory was interesting, Frankie, when we were at Butch Harmon's place, and he was telling us that Rory had like notoriously swung by, and all the headlines were sort of like Butch Harmon is like overseeing a little bit of Rory McIlroy's swing, and Butch was like, yeah, he just stopped in when he was basically in Vegas or stopping through Vegas and just paid the rate, which is whatever the hell it was, like X amount hourly rate, and just had Butch Harmon look at his swing for like an hour or two, that's like such a weird concept for us to think about. But at that point, Rory's coach, it was like around COVID, Rory's coach, lifelong coach, was still back in kind of Europe or couldn't get over here. So he just went by and had Butch Harmon look at his swing, which on a pretty normal level is like, oh yeah, of course. Like, why wouldn't you just do that? People like us do that all the time. Why wouldn't a professional golfer do that? Speaking of Rory, kind of a shocking thing in the final round. He got to a point where he was tied for the lead with a bunch of other names. It was kind of an unbelievable leaderboard. And then I believe he hit 2 wedges into the water from the middle of the fairway. I didn't see any of it. I was just kind of reading recaps.
Yeah, 2 wedges into the water from the middle of the fairway. Both were like, one of them was short left and one of them was short right. And the announcers were just brutal, but like in a good way. But I feel like, a lot of times, since Johnny Miller retired, we've kind of been wanting someone to just go in on guy. This guy was like, his wedge game is a mess. The feet are closed. The shoulders are open. He's trying to hit it on line. He's got no idea where it's going. The guy was just hammering into him. But yeah, I think he got to 13 under through 6 holes. He was tied for the lead, and it was a decent leaderboard, but no one, none of the huge. Shane Lowry was in the mix. Min Woo Lee was kind of chasing, but besides that, it was a bunch of European-based guys. And you just got the sense that they were all shitting their pants because Rory was making a run. And you got, if he could post 14 under, 15 under, I think he shot 5 over for his last like 12 or 13 holes. So big time collapse. The wedge game remains a big time problem. It was hard to, it's distressing when you see a guy who makes the part of golf that should be hard, which is hitting it 350 yards down the fairway, look freaking automatic. And then you put like a little 90-yard wedge in his hand and he hits it legitimately in the piss. So yeah, it was tough.
As if golf wasn't already hard enough, that there is this incredible dichotomy in golf in which the characteristics of being able to drive the golf ball incredibly well and hit long clubs incredibly well and long irons incredibly well are the exact opposite of the key characteristics of hitting wedges in short shots really close. And it's why, for the most part, you see guys that are shorter hitters that make it out on tour are like phenomenal wedge players, and like the other way around, where a lot of the guys that are complete bombers are not great wedge players. And when you do get somebody that can kind of do both, or when DJ, for example, which Butch was telling us about as well, made that, concerted effort to dial in his wedges. He was already great with the driver. He's been great with the driver forever. That is so rare in golf to be really good at both, because they're too like if you're a little bit shallower, a little bit more of like a sweeper, if you're hitting up on your driver, like Rory hits up 5 degrees or something on his driver, then like when you need to hit down on a wedge and control it and flight it, whatnot, that's a completely different motion. And it's like we're all working just trying to keep the fucking golf ball in play and not make fools of ourselves out there the entire time. And now you've got these guys that like you said, Rory can do the hardest thing in the world, dude. He can hit it like 340 yards, pretty much dead straight, draw it, cut it, do whatever the hell he wants. That's impossible to do. It's 3.5 football fields, hitting it wherever he wants. And then it's like from 90 yards, he's relatively horrific at this point in a lot of instances. And I remember at the Memorial, he was that way, where it's like, dude, that was fucking May. That was 4 or 5 months ago. And it's like, how is this guy that good? But game's impossible. So, I mean, I get it on that level, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to note during the Ryder Cup if that's an issue for him at all.
Yeah, it was so great watching Min-Woo Lee play golf. We really got to get that guy involved. We were supposed to do a side gig with him. We talked about this when we had him on the show probably a month ago or so. Just one of those guys who just kind of has the it factor. He does this thing where he like kind of talks shit to his caddy, which I love. He had like a 15-footer for par after hitting like a really bad tee shot, and he hit this kind of remarkable short game shot. And then as the putt was like 3 feet out, he starts walking it in, and he looks at his caddy, not with a look of like, let's go, with a look of like, fuck you, I told you I was going to make that shit. Like, and I love that. He has that fire. So I think he took 6 weeks off, came back, finished, I think, in the top 10. Min-Woo Lee has got to be one of our guys. He just has to be. We need him to get residence in the United States. We need to go out there and shoot videos with him, because I think he's going to absolutely pop.
Yeah, he's got some juice. He's definitely got some juice. I feel like we've seen that, that kind of relationship a little bit, that creating that fire with like Spieth did that with Greller when he won the Open, when he was like, go get that. He's kind of like, you're creating a little bit of a firing yourself up through your caddy. I feel like Tiger, there was a famous story during the 2008 US Open when Tiger won, where
like,
Stevie basically,
win,
Stevie was basically like, dude, we need to get out of here. Like, you're going to die. Your leg's going to fall off. And Tiger was like, fuck you, I'm going to win this tournament. So I kind of like when they just turn on their caddy a little bit and use that as fuel. But yeah, Min-Woo, he's got some juice for sure.
Speaking of Spieth, so I think he's having his second baby. That's the reason why he wasn't going to Rome. Do we think that Spieth is like, it just kind of dawned on me that I think he might have like 7 children. I think he might go like the Webb Simpson route of like, I think there might be like an army of young Spieth children running around.
Big family guy, right? He's got, I feel I could see that.
I could just see him having like at least 5 children. He's number 2 came pretty quick after number 1.
Golf, I'll say golf media goes nuts when golfers have kids. They fucking love
or
that.
Get engaged. Like, congrats to Matt Fitzpatrick who got engaged.
That's another big one.
But yeah, those posts always do like super, super well. I noticed Golf Digest will always just take the photo of the engagement and then just post it on their own and say congratulations, which is always an interesting move. You're basically just saying, please like this post. Not really moving the story along a little bit.
Don't we do that? Does Foreplay Pod do that?
Do we congratulate Matt Fitzpatrick?
I think we did it. I think we congratulated Matt Fitzpatrick.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's not a shot at social Rob, but it's a little bit of a shot at social Rob, just maybe a tiny one. But yeah, anytime these guys do real world stuff, it's I remember when JT in Full Swing went to CVS and couldn't figure out the checkout machine. Everyone thought that was like the greatest thing of all time when he was like, "You got to be shitting me." So I guess it's going to People Magazine, Us Magazine, they've had a stars that are just like us section for as long as they've been in existence. There seems to be a fascination with people that we look up to and watch doing things that are relatively normal.
Is there a better place to go with your buddies for a golf trip than Myrtle Beach, South Carolina? The answer, according to polls in the United States of America, is no. It's that Myrtle Beach is the single best. True blue, fantastic golf course. Caledonia, fantastic. We got Mike Strantz. We were there a year ago. Actually, I'm thinking about taking my entire buddies trip that we just went to Big C, going down there next year to Myrtle because I love those golf courses so much. I've only seen, I believe, 4 of the courses there, and there are like 70 something. So there's a lot more golf to see. In fact, you can go to the beach. You can get rent a boat. You can go fishing. You can go karting. You can go eat, seafood joint on the pier like we did. You can really do anything in Myrtle Beach, fellas.
Yeah, it's a bit of like Vegas on the water in a way. With golf as more of a focus. You can go to the Ripley's Believe It or Not aquarium. You can go to a wax museum. There's just the possibilities are endless. I was just down in Myrtle Beach a couple weeks ago for the World Amateur. I loved it. I thought it was like a huge party, over 3,000 players. Myrtle Beach is golf. They are committed to golf, and they're committing to providing an experience for anyone. There's championship courses. There are also beginner courses. Everyone can split up. You had 72 options, so there's no shortage of choices.
Yeah, the fellas at playgolfmyrtlebeach.com, they flew Dan down to the golf capital of the world, as he's talking about. That is Myrtle Beach. Hannah was down there playing, competing. You can obviously do, as that showcase, you can have these kind of competitive golf environments. You can go down there and rip around on the motorbikes like we did and have a little bit more of just a shit show fun experience if you'd like. That's the beauty of Myrtle Beach. They got a little bit of everything for everybody. It's the golf capital of the world. If you want to play in the 2024 Myrtle Beach World AM, our friends from playgolfmyrtlebeach.com are giving away an entry into the 2024 event, which includes 4 rounds of golf and 5 nights of hotel accommodations. You got to go to www.barstoolworldam.com to enter. So go to that link right now. That's www.barstoolworldam.com. Enter to win 4 rounds of golf, 5 nights of hotel accommodations, and then also just go to the link, playgolfmyrtlebeach.com. They get everything consolidated into one link and book yourself a trip. It's a fantastic time. So go sign up, enter right now, barstoolworldam.com. Where do you guys feel like you stand right now on riding in golf carts when you play golf versus walking? I feel like it became, when I was a little younger, in my 20s, walking was fantastic. It didn't really matter. You got young energy, you're fine, you're healthy, whatever. I feel like last week, our Wisconsin trip, walking on a golf course, even if you have a caddy, even if you got a push cart, I feel like it really became a front and center issue that I never really noticed before.
To me, it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish out there. Like if you're out there by yourself and you're trying to shoot your career low and you're like just having a day, you have no time constraints, you're not worrying about what you're doing after, and you just are solely focused on that round of golf. I think walking is great. I think I enjoy it a lot. I think it makes me play better. I think that I focus more. I think all the things that Dr. Brett McCabe teaches me, I can actually step up and do a process, as opposed to like getting out of the cart, throwing your glove on, talking to the guy in the cart, and then you're already over the ball. It kind of takes like a lot to go through that process, I've noticed. And even in these Fixing Frankie episodes, we'll be in a cart and he'll be like, why are you not like doing that process? I'm like, I don't know. We're talking about like the Yankee game tonight. Like, we're like, I'm not really paying attention to any of this shit. He's like, that's why the process is there, so that you can step away from that for a second. But my point to that would be like, when I'm trying to accomplish something for golf, which I guess should be every single time, but I like to walk. Yes, but if I'm just out there to like try a new golf course or play with my buddies, or we have a match and we're playing match play and I have a partner out there, fucking give me that cart 100 times out of 100. It's just way too much of a grind for the day. You're taking 17,000 steps for no reason. You're still getting your exercise in the cart. You're still walking around. You're still in nature. You're still playing the game. It's just, it moves the game along. You don't feel like you're looking over your shoulder for the people behind you. You don't feel like you have to hit that perfect shot because you're not going to have to walk across the fairway, across another fairway because you blocked one left or blocked one right. To me, it's just like the game was built to have a golf cart out there. The American version of the game was built to have a golf cart out there. Just move it along. Let's have a quick day. We don't need a 6-hour round out there, everyone walking around.
I think that Wisconsin was particularly tough because of the hills and the sandy soil. And also, Fireball makes it a little bit more difficult to just walk to your ball.
Also really
It
hot.
just takes people out of the game too. Like my dad can't go to Sand Valley. He's not walking that golf course. It's just like, why? Why can't he go experience what we experience with the lodging and the lakes and Lido? Like you just can't. He wouldn't even think about it. Trent's dad too. Like they both were like, we're not doing that dad's trip unless there's golf carts from the tee box to the green. And that's, I would say, a lot of the people that play this game wouldn't agree to it, to go walking for 5 straight days. It's nuts.
I would guess walking's got to be like way below. It's probably below 25% of rounds, 30. I mean, I don't really know, but for me, it's like a lot of it's the time of day. If it's in the morning, I like a good walk in the morning because I feel like I've accomplished something by the afternoon, and you still have enough energy if you finish up your round at like 1 or 2 o'clock. If I've already been walking around all day and I've been waiting, to play golf, because anytime you play in the afternoon, the morning's kind of like a half morning because you're just looking forward to that tee time. I'm not a huge fan of walking in the afternoon. I just feel like I'm trying to get after it. Like I'm trying to, like you said, I'm trying to just move quickly, especially if there's no one in front. Flying around in 2.5, 3 hours in the afternoon, there's nothing better. But I will stand by like a dew sweeping walk, especially if you have a good group and you're playing and there's good mojo. Might have a caddy out there who's in good spirits. It's hard to beat that, but I am sensitive to the people who can't do it because my dad's the same way.
I'll say we did like 4 straight days of just the Wisconsin thing, which was amazing. We talked a ton about it on the shows. We had a great time. We walked the whole time, exhausted. And I flew home to St. Louis, see my family and friends for a couple of days. And all my buddies want to do there is play golf. It's a totally different. It's like you're doing a completely different activity when you just sit your ass in a fucking golf cart from the minute you walk in. You walk through the parking lot. As soon as you get on site, you throw your golf bag on the back of the cart, you strap that thing in, and you just sit your ass on a comfortable seat with music playing, your phone's charging. It is a completely different experience. And if it weren't for that, if we were going to walk again like this last weekend, I wouldn't have been able to touch a club. I wouldn't have been able to have any interest in playing. No. Just get me off. Let me watch football, whatever. But you just get to sit your ass in a cart. It's fucking delightful. It's way more delightful than I would have thought. I used to have kind of this romanticism around it and like walk in and it's good for you. And there's times we all, you guys explain that great. There's times, but boy, oh boy, just sitting your ass down in a fucking golf cart for 4 hours, riding around, driving right up to your partner's ball, driving right up to your ball, hopping out for 4 seconds, swinging away. You're definitely not as locked in. Absolutely. I think most people agree. Like you don't walk and feel and kind of arrive at what the right shot is in the same way that you do when you're walking. But that's not the goal, is that every time to just go shoot the lowest score pot, right? It's like sometimes you're just out there like, let's just swing away, have a good little match. Like if I hit a shit one and my partner hits a good one, I'm just going to sit in this cart and watch because I'm not going to, and we're going to hang out. And so like it is just carts are the stock and carts for me right now are fucking rising fast.
I mean, it's an insane activity to go out and walk and do. Like you're hitting this, it's the Robin Williams joke. You're hitting this white ball all over this field and you're just going to go walk there, hit it again and go find it. Like it's chaos. The fact that we have the invention to just be on wheels and a motorized golf cart to just take you to that spot. And you're lucky enough to even find this golf ball. And then you have to hit it again. You're going to move throughout this 7-mile long trail of whatever it ends up being. It's fucking chaos. So yeah, I'm absolutely picking cart over walking if I'm just trying to have fun.
As soon as there are carts and there might already be that function basically as an iPad where I can pull up Red Zone on the screen, that's when it will really.
I'm sure some clubs have it.
There's got to be, right? Like you can already play music through carts at some places. If there's a Sunday where there's Red Zone going on and I can have Scott Hansen talking to me through the golf cart, saying we're going to go to Miami and we're going to go to Cleveland while I'm playing golf, that's going to be really when it switches to carts for me. I will say we've done 3 side gigs now. We've filmed with Spieth, Keegan Bradley, and Shane Lowry. And all 3 of them, while walking up the first hole, I've been like, I can't believe I'm fucking walking during an off week. Like, this is insane that you have me walking during an off week. So I think the pros, because they do it so much, and we talked, we said how our feet were sore and how without the G4 shoes, we would have been in complete shambles. It's 4 rounds in a row, which is what you guys did. I only played 3, but 4 rounds in a row of walking is taxing on the body. And so I can 100% understand why when these guys get home and they have the opportunity to take a cart, they're not even thinking about potentially walking a golf course.
Dude, when we did our Friday rounds with Joey LaCava last summer, and we were just playing every single Friday with Joey, Trent and I, and a couple of my buddies here in New York, we would meet Joey and his crew, and we would just play every single Friday, these big matches. The thought of even looking for a golf ball or walking was like insane to Joey. That, it's like, that's his job. He's like, if I hit one in the fescue, he's like, we're not, like, just drop right here. Like, we're not looking for that. Like, if you have me looking through this fescue, you're insane right now. And I'd be like, Joe, like, you don't really look for balls. He's like, no, dude, like, that's crazy that you guys go out here searching for golf balls. Like,
and searching for golf balls when you're walking. Like, remember there was a hole where the 2 of us were on the left side searching for balls in the fescue. I don't want to give anything away, but I think you guys remember
that Both people
ended up dropping.
Crazy.
And you're covering like 70 yards. You have no clue where it is. And you're just looking. You're literally looking for a little round ball on a haystack, and you're just walking back and forth the whole time.
I think it was either Joel or Max told me one time that, like, in Pro-Am rounds, they just tell everybody on the first tee, like, hey, great to be here. I'm going to help you guys out. It's going to be a really good time. The only thing I won't do is I just won't look for golf balls. There's no, and if you think about it, like, for those guys, they never have to look for golf balls ever. So they're like, they just have learned through these programs that's the worst experience on the fucking planet. Looking for golf balls fucking sucks. You're trudging around. Like you said, Dan, it could be in like a 100 square yard area, and it's thick grass. We're out there looking for it like fucking crazy people. But in your mind, when that's your golf ball, you're like, this is a 2-stroke difference for me. Like, if I find this golf ball and hack it out, then I could still maybe make par. I'm going to make bogey at worst. But, like, if I don't, I'm going to go back to the tee, or I'm hitting 4. That's going to ruin my day. And everyone else in the group is like, I can't believe I'm walking around this fucking long grass looking for this guy's ball so I don't look like a dickhead. But it's like, looking for golf balls is for the birds, dude.
And then if your buddy's not looking for it, you're like, he's an asshole. You get mad at him for not looking at your ball. It's also it's so much easier for these guys to walk when they hit it straight, number one. So they're typically walking like where you're supposed to walk. You'll notice that there's usually like a mode area on the way to the fairway. These guys are really good at golf, so they're walking there. And then what you said, they don't have to look. So if they hit one offline, there's got a little freaking flag in the ground where they just go find the flag and then go hit another one. So it's much more point A to point B for the pros.
I have something to say, and we have a lot of caddies that listen to this show, and I feel like it could resonate with a lot of people. And I'm trying to like go about this the right way, and I don't know how to really explain it without sounding like a fucking dick or douchebag. Because you are getting a caddy, you're getting a service, and it's an incredible experience. Not many people get to have this. And I was a caddy for years. Garden City Men's Club. I was at Cherry Valley. I was at Rockville Links. I know I experienced what it's like to carry bags for people, and like where you're supposed to like interject and where you're supposed to really give your input. And it's a weird world you have to live in as the player. I feel like you have a caddy, you're at a place. We were in Wisconsin. We had a bunch of caddies. We had amazing caddies. We had great experiences. I played pretty well, and I feel like I left there feeling pretty good about my game. So I feel like all these caddies all kind of helped me with my experience there at Sand Valley, at Erin Hills. But there's a couple situations that I found myself in while playing on foreplay videos. And, the bigger we get, the more exclusive places we play in. And like, it's your first time playing a new golf course. And we play a lot of golf. So I feel like I know my game now, and I feel like I'm getting kind of confident in it. I know how far I hit irons. I know how far I can hit my driver, when I can hit my driver. And sometimes I've found myself just listening to the caddy where he's like, this is the club that you have to hit here. And I'll just be like, okay. And I just do it. And then I'm not really happy with the result, and I'm not really happy with the decision. And I'm just internally thinking about it. It's similar to like being in a barbershop, and like, that the barber is not doing a great job, and you're just sitting there quiet instead of just like saying something, because you just feel like an asshole being like, hey, I actually don't like that haircut. Imagine saying that. No one does that. So this has happened to me recently where I'm playing the best golf I've played in my life. I know that. It's documented. I started this show hitting in the high 90s, mid 90s. That we did videos at Bethpage like early on when I've joined with you guys. And like if I shot like a 95 or if I broke 90, it was like a huge moment. And now I'm playing like I'm shooting 75s, 80s at really good golf courses. I know I can go out there and play my game. And then I go to a place and the guy's like, this is what you have to do today. This is the club you have to hit. Being like, no, I'm telling you, like, I know this course, you have to hit this club. And I just listen. And it's like, it's not an issue that's like, I feel like, I don't know that everyone deals with this. Maybe it's just a me problem. I don't know if you guys have ever had this situation, but it's like at some point when you're on someone's bag, you have to let that person play the game of golf. So like, and it's like, it's happened to me multiple times where like they just take over my game and it makes me like almost sometimes not want a caddy. And I know that sounds horrific and I don't want to like shit on the entire fucking job that is caddying. But
no, I 100% agree with you because, and really it's our own fault, right? It's what we do is you just let the caddy take the wheel because of the situation. Like you say, you don't want to come off like an asshole. And next thing you know, you're a couple holes in and they've sort of established that like, okay, because most people that they golf for, it's a corporate outing or whatever, they really do need to like take over. They need to be like, Like even for Trent, I feel like for Trent a lot, Trent's like, dude, I need my caddy to just tell me everything. Tell me where to hit it, what club. And he loves that. And there's some people that love that. Everybody's a little bit different, but I find that like part of the joy of the experience of playing the game of golf is thinking your way through it, right? Like thinking your way through how you're going to get this ball into a certain spot, thinking your way through which club you should hit. Is it 8 miles an hour into the wind and it's a little bit uphill? So is that like a club or a club and a half? Like that's part of the beauty of the game is like strategizing. It's the same reason that when you play Madden or when you play FIFA or when you play PGA Tour 2K, like if you just hit the button and everything was set up for you and then you hit the button again and everything's set up for you, you hit the button again, that game would fucking suck. Like a big part of why the game is so fun is strategizing, is thinking your way through it. It's a big part of the reason, like, if you just put the players in fantasy football and you just watched on Sunday, that wouldn't be as fun as, like, strategizing and trying to think about trades and trying to think about who you should start and who you shouldn't, and you're looking at weather forecasts, and then you take that whole element out of the game of golf for yourself, and it really kind of, like, rips part of the overall immersive, like, experience of trying to put a round together. It takes it out of your hands and puts it in a stranger's hands, which is like fucking crazy. You're going to fly somewhere, you're going to go to this unbelievable golf course. You're just going to put an enormous percentage of like your performance that day into a total stranger's hands is for a lot of people. I agree with you. I think it's fucking crazy to do. And it's hard to like say that without being, whatever. But it's like, that is part of the joy of the game, I think, is thinking your way through your own game. Your own game. And when you just let go of that and give it to someone else and then realize that that's happening, it can be sort of like what am I doing here? Like I need to regain control of the situation here.
I think it's a really fine line of what the caddy has to do. And that's what I had to deal with when I was a caddy. It's like, does this person want the information or do they not? And it's like, it's that dance that you have to play. And you can kind of tell on the first hole where like, do you want reads on the green or do you not? And I just feel like sometimes, and I'm such a pussy that I can't just have a conversation with another person and just like be honest with them and be like, hey, I'm just going to make these decisions today. Let's have a great time. We're going to have some drinks. We're going to have a great time out here. We're fucking living the dream. We're playing golf on a Tuesday out here at a great golf resort. Let's just have a good time. Instead, I'm like internalizing all these issues. This is all on me, by the way. This is not on the caddy.
Right.
This is me just like legitimately admitting that I am too much of a pussy to speak. And I'd rather get my golf experience ruined than just have a conversation with another human being and be like, hey man, like that last situation on that last hole where I wanted to hit a hybrid and I ended up hitting a 9-iron because you said that was the right decision. I really hated that, but I'm not going to tell you that. So I'm going to sit and internalize all of this.
Yeah. Just let it fester.
Just let it fester and then ruin the rest of my hole and then like hope that I can let it go. And just like, It should have been a birdie. It ends up being a triple bogey. And like, we're out here. Like, it's just fucking it's a lot to handle. And I just need to learn how to have that conversation. So I hope by me bringing this up, I'll get some messages from caddies being like, just fucking talk to us. Like have a conversation. I need to break that barrier and just be like I need to be Lurch. I need to be like a person that just speaks to people when they don't want to be spoken to.
Yeah, I think there's a middle ground, and I think it's a very rewarding middle ground because, like, I've had experiences where guys like the caddy should never say 100%, which sometimes they say sometimes, which bothers me. Like, I'll be 20 yards short of a green, and he's like, "You're putting this 100% and pull out the putter," because then at that point you're setting yourself up for a confrontation. Because then I'll be like, "No, I'm going to chip it," and then there's a fuck ton of pressure on that chip because if I hit that chip bad, I know he's gonna turn around. He's gonna be laughing, be like, "Hey, maybe you should put that. You should put that." But yeah, I think you just need to have some faith in these caddies. Interpersonal skills that you can say to them, no, like I like 9-iron here. And I think they'll actually respect you more or I like hybrid here. And I think they'll respect you more as a player because when you do reach that area with the caddy where it's been 3 or 4 holes, they kind of know your game and they know the golf course and you don't know it. And you guys are working as a team. It is awesome. It's great. If you feel like a professional golfer for a day, you're talking through shots, you're talking through start lines. It's really great. So I think you just need to, and I will be there. We play a decent amount of golf together. I will be there for you. And, we'll be walking up the 3rd hole and I'm going to see you just so mad that you didn't hit 6-iron when the caddy wanted you to hit 5-iron, but you really should hit 6.
There was a situation in which I was striping my drives right down the middle. We're on a par 5 and I couldn't get there. I couldn't get there in 2 and I knew that, but I knew that if I ripped this hybrid up at this green, that the worst case scenario is that it's in this little chipping area to the right of the green, or it's in a greenside bunker, which I know my game right now, I can get out of no problem. I can just get it onto the green and we're putting for birdie. But instead because this course is difficult and because probably the average player that plays there doesn't like to take on that type of, those areas for your second shot, the right play was to hit a 9-iron. I hit this drive 310 yards right down the middle. Now I hit a 9-iron for my second shot and I begged to hit the hybrid and the bag was essentially taken away from me and was like, no, it's 9-iron. Why would we ever bring that stuff into play? And I'm like, okay. And I just I'm standing over this ball being like, what the fuck am I doing right now? Yeah. And then I bladed a 9-iron into the fescue because I'm freaking out. I'm like, dude, I don't even know if this is the right club for this moment.
Bad caddying. That's just bad caddying. If you watch on tour, they'll be like, what do you think here? And then the guy's like, I like hybrid. Then he'll be like, great, I love it. This guy was basically telling you that it wasn't an option.
It was a one-off bad situation. We ended up having a great time. I played a great round, had a fantastic time, came in hot. We were rolling towards the end. But yeah, it's just something that I dealt with. And I never have been on that side. I didn't grow up playing with caddies. I was a caddy. So I always feel like I have that different side of it of being there's a certain way to do it. I feel like if you are on the side of every single time, it's don't talk to me, shut up, just give me the club. I could see how I don't ever want to become that person. I always want to be the person that I can have a conversation with the guy. And I'm not doing it right now. This is my issue. I'm not being the person that I wanted to have when I was on the bag. I'm not being that type of person where I'm I want to be verbal. I want to be honest. And I'm letting these caddies just fucking dominate me essentially with what they want me to do. I'm just a fucking robot out there. Have a conversation.
It's always shitty too, because if you make a call that the caddy was going to make a different call, then there's all this pressure on you to hit the shot. And then when you hit a bad one, you can sense that the caddy's like, I know it. But then in your head, you're like, no, it's not. I hit bad ones all the time.
Right.
All the time. That wasn't that had nothing to do with the choice. That's just, I'm not that good, but that was the right choice, even though it didn't work out. And that was the right choice for me in this scenario because I play my own game all the time. And then you get these feelings around the green's a great example where, the caddy will want you to putt a lot. And it's no, I feel like I'm really going to chip this. And they're like, okay, they don't give you a ton of confidence in it. Then they're like, they put the putter away and they give you the wedge. And then you're standing over it being like, I think he wants me to hit a bad one here so that he can be
yeah.
right. And then your pressure's ramped way up. And the rare occasion that you do hit a good one, they kind of look at you like, okay, all right, but when you hit that shit one, you can tell that you're I know that he knows that he was right, but actually that was over a million times in that scenario I was right. So then you're just in this weird fucking mindset the whole time. And you're we're supposed to just be out here having a great time.
I think you should show up to the golf course, Frankie, with an index card. And I think as you're walking up the first hole, you should say, hello, my name is Frank Burley III. I have experience as a caddy. And I want to say this, I respect you and I respect what you do probably more than 95% of the people out here. That being said, I do not ever want to feel like the agency is being taken away from me. Golf occupies a very special place in my life, and I want to work through this as a team. So if you have strong opinions, please deliver them with a little bit of softness, and we can work together through this. I think you need to get out there and get that message out there early so they understand. I think you'll be surprised. I think most of them will react positively.
I think so as well. And everyone that's listening to this, you guys know how much of a psycho I am. Like I live and die with my sports teams. I have a very eccentric brain. I'm all over the place. I'm out of control. That's why I went to a golf psychiatrist. Like I am living and dying with these big all-time golf resort rounds. You're going to these places like Sand Valley, Lido, Erin Hills. You want to have a great day. I get in my own head, and I let the caddy know that right off the bat. Like he can tell my excitement, that I'm fiery. I'm cursing at myself. I'm making him laugh. He's making me fucking cry. Like we're having a fucking day out there. And I just feel like, yeah, I just don't verbalize enough what I actually want. I like kind of, I don't know. I just kind of like, I don't fully become me at some point. In the beginning I am. And then I just go with the flow. I just kind of go with it. I don't do all those things that I want to do. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like listening to you. Oh yeah, hit it here, put it here. Just fucking make a decision. I can do that when I don't have caddies. I only have caddies like once every fucking 2 months. Like why? I play all the time without caddies. Why can't I make that decision today? Why can't I putt where I know where to putt? Like have a conversation.
Dude, it's very much like too when you don't put a seatbelt on right away and then your buddy's driving or something and like 6 minutes into the ride, you're like, oh, I need to put my seatbelt on, but you try to do it really quietly because you're like, dude, if he hears me clicking, he's going to think that this is an indictment on his driving ability right now and that I'm really nervous about my safety. And it's that way with a caddy, where it's like, if things happen fast, you grab a truly hard seltzer, you roll to the tee, you're a little bit late because you're on a buddy's trip, you hit out and the caddy's giving you a little advice. And then like 2 holes in, you're like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm just going to read my own putts. Then you're setting yourself up for the
first 2 holes.
Like, wow, fucking, what, am I reads suck? Maybe you suck. And then you're just, you're kind of behind it right away. So if you don't get out in front of it, I feel like it's almost too late. Yeah.
If we are lucky enough to continuously have caddies and we show up these places that have caddy programs, which we love, obviously we do. I want everyone listening, if you are in that position where we are going to be on the same team together, you come up to me and be like, let's fucking do this. Let's be a team and let's talk it out today. I'm going to try and be better, and I want you to be better as well. I want to have conversations because it feels as though that they are always on my team. Like they want, like even in that 9-iron situation, they wanted me to succeed. They thought that was the perfect scenario for me to have a better day. And I just didn't give my opinion. I just kind of listened to it and then I internalized it. So this is my admission of guilt of not being able to have conversations with my caddies, and I am internalizing all of my problems. I am on my platform now being able to speak to all of you, saying that I have issues having communications in barbershops, with caddies, with waiters, with waiters for sure, with servers. I have an issue with talking about things that I have issues with. So I'm trying to become better.
You have a confrontation problem a little bit. You want to avoid confrontation. Yeah.
Big time. And I end up being in the car being like, why the fuck did I do that? Just have a conversation. People have conversations with me all the time when I fuck up. Dave Portnoy tells me when I fuck up all the time. It goes well. I just like learn from it and I just fucking don't do it anymore.
Goes well.
It
goes well.
It goes real well.
The gift that's changing the game. Level up your gift giving, ladies and gentlemen, with a Lightbox lab-grown diamond. You could buy set jewelry from lightboxjewelry.com, or you can go buy a loose lab-grown diamond ready for your giftee to set however they like or create a piece together. You could do either one. Lightbox not only has stones they'll love, but pricing that you'll actually understand. Stunning loose stones with transparent pricing and fantastic value for the quality of stone. Lightbox have leveled up lab-grown diamonds, combined innovation with lab-grown diamond quality that has to be seen to be believed. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds all meet the same stunning standards. They all have the same transparent pricing. It's as simple as that. So you don't have to be there guessing. You're going to spend money. Obviously, this is a big investment. It's a big purchase for you. It means a lot. Gift, emotional, sentimental, the whole deal. You don't want to be guessing out there when you're trying to find a diamond.
No, you don't. And we've seen these. I have had these in my hand before, and they're pretty unbelievable. Like you can't you can't even describe how good these things look. These lab grown diamonds, you put them in your hand and you're like, how is this a thing? I've been pretty blown away by them, honestly. And yeah, it's just a really, really good way to be able to get something that looks phenomenal.
A lot of people think custom jewelry is out of their reach, but Lightbox's easy approach to buying stones means you can shop for a great value, great quality lab-grown diamond and have it express shipped, ready to take to a jeweler. You can take 10% off when you shop right now at lightboxjewelry.com. Use the code ForePlayPod10. So you're going to get 10% off lightboxjewelry.com. Use the code ForePlayPod10. That's one word, ForePlayPod10, ForePlayPod10 at lightboxjewelry.com and take 10% off. By the way, we have entered, I believe, probably the best 6 weeks of golf in this country that you can enter. It's just fall golf for the next 6 weeks or so, almost everywhere around the country. Home in St. Louis this last weekend, where St. Louis gets a pretty good amount of rain. It could be soft and wet most of the time. Most courses, they haven't really gotten rain or much rain in a couple weeks. It was like 77 and sunny there. The ground was firm. The courses, the greens. We went to Bogey Hills Country Club. The greens were maybe the best greens I've played all year. They were so pure. Played this place, Glen Echo, that actually hosted the 1904 Olympics golf in St. Louis. That was a 1901 course. I'd never been out there before. It was only 6,500 yards from the tips. Sneaky, just fantastic layout. Again, in great shapes. The greens were awesome. I noticed when we were in Wisconsin, there weren't a ton of examples, but a couple trees were turning orange and red. So we're getting fall foliage just kind of like creeping in all of a sudden. So for all golfers out there who know you get to throw a quarter zip on or a hoodie or a pair of pants, and you get to kind of roll through courses that usually are, like I said, it's not the spring where it's soaking wet a lot. It's sort of drier. It's firmer. The courses have had all year to get themselves in perfect shape. A lot of club championships are kind of going on. It's just primo golf season not for watching golf. Major championships are over. We only got the Ryder Cup left. But in terms of playing golf, this next 6 weeks is fucking primo.
Yep, I saw a lot of posts from these local Northeast golf courses that are punching and they're aerating greens and they're getting their top dressing and they're getting ready for this next phase of the golf season. I know my guy Luke at Rockville, he posted a bunch of stuff. He's getting these greens ready, and it amazes me. They tear it up for like a week or two when all the kids go back to school and a lot of guys are like busy at work, and all these like private clubs aren't as busy for this last, right around Labor Day. And then he gets that golf course so fucking dialed up for the end of September, for the beginning of October. And that October month, man, all the trees start to turn a little bit red and brown and yellow, and all these turns on par fives and behind par threes, they start to have all this color. You get your phone out, you're getting ridiculous photos. It shows the uniqueness of all these golf courses. You really start to see the things on the outside. You see the perimeter of the course more than you ever did during the fall season. I love it. I absolutely love it. Go upstate a little bit, play those those mountainous golf courses. Oh my God, man, there's nothing better. That chill in the air. Maybe you get a little hot cocoa at the turn, throw a little bit of vodka in there, a little rum. What are you, nuts? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? This is insane that we have this luxury.
The best. I had I love fall golf. Fall golf is the best. I will definitely miss fall golf in the Northeast, but I had just a kick in the sack golf experience on Friday that made me really excited to move to California. Drove up Friday afternoon, was going to play at like 3:00 with one of my buddies. The forecast just completely turned, and we never really talked about this. How we talked about the meteorologist guy. We talked about how this on-site meteorologist, when really I think they're just looking at the same weather apps that we're looking at. And then we met the guy at the Corn Ferry event who was the actual meteorologist, and he showed us all these toys that he uses, the atmosphere.
That guy was legit. That guy was legit.
He was legit. He had all these toys. All I'm saying is the final product, which is the forecast, is wrong more often than it's right. So, that's still true. Went up there, got completely rained out. It rained basically the whole weekend in New York. And then it took me 1 hour and 47 minutes to drive home after not playing golf because of a rain out. And that was just me thinking, I got to get out of the city, man. I just got to get out of the city. It's time.
I got into it with the weather community once. Turned into a big thing.
What happened?
Yep.
You gotta tread lightly with those people. They're
Yep,
fucking.
I wrote
They'll
a
come
whole
after you.
a whole blog about how the weather people are just clueless, basically, and they're just guessing. I think I called them weather guessers, and then I had a couple lines in there about the weather girl, and one of the meteorologists from Chicago area started just going off of me on Twitter, talking about how insensitive and derogatory it was for me to call her the weather girl. And it turned into a big thing, and basically trying to cancel me for calling her weather girl. And then it turned out that like within the last year, she had multiple tweets where she had like called herself the weather girl, or where some like a 7-year-old girl had tweeted at her being like, I got a picture of my favorite weather girl, and she had quote tweeted it and been like, your favorite weather girl loves you. And I was like the bad guy for doing the weather girl thing. So it turned into a whole fucking thing. So I've been kind of I've been running a campaign against the weather community, because really there are like meteorologists, and then I think there are like entertainers in the weather, right? That would be like me and Frankie calling ourselves golf journalists a little bit, where you get that sometimes, like you get that with people that ask us for like our in-depth like analysis of like who do we think is going to finish top 10. We're like, do you know what we do on this golf show? We don't know anything. Like we're here to entertain. And I think there becomes a little bit of a mix-up in the weather community, where there are meteorologists that are like our guy at the Corn Ferry Tour event, who are truly utilizing science and like their studies to, as best as any human could do, predict the weather accurately. And then there are entertainers who come off as like meteorologists. And when you mix the two, it can be incredibly infuriating, because I think some of those people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but present it like they're supposed to know what they're talking about. I have no issue if you don't actually know what you're talking about. I have no issue with like most of the weather entertainers on there that are meteorologists, like on the NBC5 news coverage at night. They're up there, and they're the ones that like they end up drawing the dick on there, and it goes viral, and that's great. That's fucking nothing wrong with that. We all love our local guy, girl, whoever it is. But when you start to get blurry between like who's really an entertainer, who actually knows what the hell's going on with the weather, that can drive you fucking insane, because very few people, I think, have any clue what's going on with the weather.
Yeah, we talked about percentages earlier in this podcast, where a guy's saying this is 100% to play. Just don't tell me. Just 0% should never be on the fucking forecast. It should never say 0% chance of rain, because then there's rain and there's no one to be held accountable. There's nowhere to go. You say, I made this whole plan based on 0% rain, which is by definition means it will not rain. And then it rains and I've got no one to turn to. And then I have an hour and 47-minute drive on the way home. So,
well, the problem that they find themselves in is when they are wrong, they say weather is extremely unpredictable. So I have a fundamental problem just saying that like your job is then unpredictable. Just like be honest at the beginning and say it's very unpredictable. We're all just going to kind of guess our way through this, because anything can happen at any moment. I would never claim to know what the earth is going to come up with when, in terms of if it's going to fall, if raindrops are going to start falling out of these clouds at a certain time and location. It's crazy, because even with all the science and all of the data and all of the forecasting, they still don't truly know until it happens, and if it happens and if it doesn't. So I defeated weather on my wedding. They said it was going to be a 40% chance of rain. They said that we have to bring the whole entire thing inside. And I looked at them and I said, that is going to be wrong. There's no way. I'm looking at the clouds. I'm looking at the sky. There's no way for the next 2 hours this will get rained down. It did not. One single drop of rain fell. Could have easily just changed the whole entire night. But I said, nope, we're not doing that. So I defeated weather, and ever since then, I've kind of just had like no opinion about it. It's just kind of a thing that I've just stepped over, and I don't care about it anymore. It doesn't affect my life.
That was enormous. And I think that there's something to just willing things to work out. I think in that moment, Frankie, you were so mentally tough that you were able to say, this is too important of an hour right here, and this is how it's going to happen. And it just happened. I think there's some power.
Knowing how much you care about things, there probably wasn't a single person on the planet who cared more about it not raining. Like if there was a global power rankings about who cares about whether it rains or not, Frank Borelli III was probably number one.
Dude, it was nuts. Like they came over to us and we were doing photos. We were on the first tee of the black, and they're like, Frank, we have real bad news. Like, I think it's going to rain during the cocktail hour. We got the band out there. Everyone's about to show up. And I looked at them and I just said, no, there's no way. There's no way. They were looking at the same apps that I was. And I said, there's a 40% chance in the next hour. That means that there's a 60% chance it won't happen. And I'm willing to take that gamble. I said, there's like, you guys are acting like there's not a better chance that it's not going to rain. Like, why is everyone ignoring that?
the whatever you believe in. So if it's like, if you are a God-fearing man or woman and you believe in prayer, right? Like that, the power of what was coming from your brain
It worked
in that world was so much greater than any other, that the compassionate father or deity is like, okay, we're not going to make it rain. If you believe in like simulation theory and these giant creatures on like in like another universe who kind of run our simulation or our biological experiment, they saw these like neurological wavelengths coming in and we're like, all right, we're going to give that guy a break. Like, it's just not going to fucking rain there that day. I honestly think
that's what happened to me.
Matters.
That's what happened to me on Friday. They were like, you just got back from this incredible golf trip. Like, fuck
yeah,
you. It's raining.
Fuck you. Yeah. Fuck off. That's like when they say like, Tiger Woods wills putts into the hole. I think that's like, right. Like that neurological energy from it. They're like, yeah, we're going to make this ball go into that fucking hole. People are going to go nuts. It's going to be fucking great. They just,
I mean, there's videos of like, I don't know, Jack Nicklaus or Arnold Palmer, like on their last hole, like making a 25 footer, or Arnold Palmer, I think, hit like his last shot at the Arnold Palmer was like a driver. And it was like, fuck off. There's no way that happened without some divine intervention.
Yeah, somebody up there is like, yeah, we're just going to make that. That's going to happen. No problems whatsoever. All right. I'm getting a little bit, seeing the Rome content, it got me a little bit bummed. Frankie's going over there for his honeymoon. And Dan, are you going to Rome?
Yeah, I'll be there the whole week, baby. Yeah. Thank you to Peter Millar. We're gonna be all over it. It's the last huge week of the year, so can't miss that one.
Jealous that you guys are going over there. Italy has got to be on my top of my list. I know Lurch kind of talked about it a little bit, but I'm a big history guy. I'm a big dinner guy. I like wine. I want to go over there, see it, all that. I talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but fuck, man, like Rome is going to be so highlighted during this entire thing, during that like 2-week stretch leading up to it. Rome and Italy and the history and the whole. I was watching these spy. The Netflix came out with that like spy ops documentary, and one of them was about the attempted assassination on Pope John Paul II, and they were just showcasing all kinds of sick drone footage of the Vatican. And it got me just hyped up and prepared. Like the drone footage they're going to have showing Marco Simone, no matter how far it is, where nowadays with the drones, which are just cheating, it's like any course does that, where if there's a body of water within like 10 miles of your golf course, you could take a drone shot where it looks like your golf course is on the water, basically. That's going to happen with Marco Simone, where they're going to have the fucking Rome in the background. I'm sure you'll be able to see the Colosseum, but they're going to splice that in with the course. I started getting the feels about Europe. The only time I've been there was Paris and then London. Both of those were to film videos. And then the UK, where we went and played golf in Scotland a few different times, but kind of like old school Italy, Greece, type like Europe. I just have never been to before, and it's gonna piss me off, the fact that all this is gonna be happening. I'm not gonna be a part of it.
Yeah, I can't fucking wait. I cannot wait. Going back to the motherland. Never been there, so
where are you going besides Rome? Like, what's your itinerary?
We're doing Rome for like 2 days, and then we're going to Sorrento and Capri for quite a bit. And then going back around, back up, and then we're doing like the whole Tuscany, Venice, that whole. So we're doing a lot of training, a lot of trains, a lot of long car rides, but we're going to see the whole country as much as we can. We're not going too north because we're going in October. I think that we're keeping it like kind of central and south, but that, I've been looking at pictures of Sorrento and Capri, and I can't even believe that's a real place. It feels like everyone and their mother's been. Your brain is going
to explode when you see those places in person.
Because the only time I've ever been out of the country was to Australia, which was nuts, but it was
Australia's kind of America.
Yeah, it wasn't too much of a culture
Melbourne
shock.
And Sydney, it's like, oh, there's like a burger place on the corner. It's like, yeah.
We went to McDonald's every night and Domino's. It was nuts. Like, we really didn't do anything different. We had kangaroo one night and it tasted like prosciutto, so it wasn't.
Dude, Dan, there was like we would all like do our daily shit. We'd be like sick of each other and be like, I'm just gonna chill tonight and go back to the hotel. And then you could order Domino's and like go pick it up. It was like a 2-minute walk, and we get down there, you'd see like Riggs, Trent were on the screen of like pizzas will be ready.
And then we went to Scotland, obviously, which was definitely a change, but it didn't feel like that European, like crazy touristy, a lot of people, huge. It was very much golf. It was green. It was cloudy. It was what Scotland is supposed to be in my vision of it, in my thinking of it. So I'm very excited to see that old historical Rome Colosseum. I'm going to be watching a bunch of documentaries leading up to it. Obviously all the history of Borelli's, and like, I'm just going to feel like I'm probably going to be crying the entire time, just like knowing my grandfather came from there, and like, just like, that's it. That's the spot.
Do you have details on like where your family's from? Like, are you going to go see some of that stuff?
They were from, so I talked to my dad about it, and he was essentially saying like, that's its own trip. They tried to do it once and it became too much. Like the Borellis are from like a little town like north of Naples, and it's like hard to get to. And it's like, if you're doing that on your honeymoon, like that's insane. Like that's not the trip for it. You know, you're supposed to be like eating grapes and getting your like taint slapped around in a little bit. You're not supposed to be like going to search for like an old cousin that's like fucking making
has no idea
dough.
who you
Like,
are.
he has no idea. Probably going to shoot me as I walk up the fucking driveway. So that's just not in the cards. But
he's like been grinding his dick off for decades, and you're like, oh, we take a picture and make me a piece.
I'm in a video game.
On Instagram. Instagram.
Yeah. I'm gonna go live on Instagram. Yeah. He's like, what the fuck are you talking
Leave me
about?
alone.
You're dead.
Jesus.
Get out of here.
God, we get this every day. He'd be like, oh, another Borelli. All right. Another Borelli fucking goes to Walmart every day and plays Xbox. Yeah, great.
Dude, the amount of people that have recommendations for Italy is overwhelming. It really is. Oh, dude, I have that too. Where'd you?
Dude, I have
some.
one of those. I forgot that I have like all of the Sports Illustrateds that I wrote articles in, like sitting right next to me here.
That's sick.
Yeah, and the
You
golf.
wrote an
Digest,
article in that one?
Yeah, I wrote like a very small sidebar, but like I wrote this cover story. I have all the like magazine stories that I wrote, like the cover story. I wrote this cover story, Colin Morikawa, but this one just caught my eye, and just what a
dude. I was cleaning out my closet. Eminem, shout out Eminem. But I was doing that the other day and just getting, because like when we moved in here, this office, I kind of just like threw everything in this big closet here, and I finally was sick of it. Like it was getting out of control. So we pulled everything out, and it's all stuff from my parents' house and all the stuff that I had at my desk at the office. And that Sports Illustrated cover was like kind of crinkled underneath a box. I'm like, this is like the greatest Sports Illustrated cover I've ever seen. So I flattened it out and I put it somewhere in that closet there. I can't believe you just showed that, because I just did that like 2 days ago.
We did this one also when I was at Golf Digest. We did a commemorative Tiger 25 years as a pro. So you got this portrait, and then you got this one from like right when he turned pro.
Yeah, it is.
Why is he praying?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of strange. There's definitely some God vibes going on, but dude, it's fun for me to look through these magazines. It's like a past life.
There's like 3 items that I always forget to bring when we go to these events, because we just end up in these spots where I think we could get them signed. And I have that Sports Illustrated Tiger Woods Masters cover. I have Daniela from The Office. Her dad went to the 2019 Masters and got me a 2019 Masters hat. And then I have a 2022 PGA Championship flag from Southern Hills that I would obviously love JT to sign, because that's one of my favorite flags. That, like, whatever it is, a clock tower, is that what it is? Clock tower was kind of the logo at Southern Hills.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite
they have that
flags.
like lighthouse looking thing. Yeah,
yeah, those 3 things I need to remember to bring next time we go to like the PGA or something, and we just end up at a spot where these guys chit chat with us, and I could just be like, hey, can you just make my entire apartment the coolest thing ever by fucking signing these things? I need to remember to bring those. Dude,
so for this one, we did a story about Tiger Woods' hands. Did you guys know that his right pinky's like all messed up like that? Like there's his left pinky, and then Frankie, look at this. That's his left pinky, and then this is his right pinky. Do you see that it's like hooked and weird like that?
Yeah, why is that?
Because he's like hit so many freaking golf balls that it's like become its own little demented thing from hooking around the golf ball so many times. It's deformed.
That's like Laredo at Borelli's. His thumbs go sideways because he's been pushing in dough for 50 years like this, that his thumbs actually go sideways. They're like, they go up and then to the right and up and to the left. They're the most disgusting things you've ever seen in your entire life. But it's just his body has morphed. It's like evolution for a pizza guy.
It happens crazy. Quick. It happens quick. Yeah.
His kids all came out with sideways thumbs.
Yeah, I tripped down memory lane with these things.
Whether you know it or not, there's a decent chance that you stink, that you like physically and from an odor standpoint stink. Barstool Sports has created this incredible line of products for the restroom for men out there called Wood. I actually go over to my CVS down the street once a month or so, get a bunch of products. They got this great face wash. They've got fantastic body wash, shampoo, aftershave, the whole entire deal, all the assortment of products that you can imagine that you're going to want. And you go over there and there's a million different options, or you're not sure if this Wood, which we've created, is an elite set. And they also got, they brought in this just absolute badass in this world, in this sphere of these products, these kind of like, be better about yourself, be just a more impressive man when you come out of the bathroom line of products, and have created Wood, WOULD, from Barstool Sports. That's just an elite line of products.
You just got to smell good. You got to feel good. There's nothing better than getting just a really, really quality shower product in your hands. You know that you're doing something good. You know that you're going to smell good when you exit that shower. You know that the deodorant's going to do its job, and it's also going to be natural, and it's going to feel good, and it's going to be good for your body. So Wood really has nailed all that stuff. I have it in my house. I have it in my travel case. I do not travel without it. I do not spend a day without my Wood products.
You can also get 10% off right now. Shop Wood's full assortment of men's grooming products for hair, body, and beard now at getwood.com. Use the code GOLF for 15% off your first purchase. That's GETWOULD.com. Use the code GOLF for 15% off your first purchase. Wood Grooming, it's time to smell like a better man. Wood Grooming is body, hair, face, and beard products that make you smell like you give a damn, even if you do not. Redesigned hair and body assortment now available in Walmart. Get 15% off at getwood.com. Use the code GOLF. Anybody have anything else? I think we're pretty much good here.
I'm playing in a charity poker tournament tonight. That is pretty exciting. I haven't really sat down and played like live poker really ever, aside from just with my buddies. So I'm pretty nervous about like I know how to play to like an amateur level. I know obviously the game. I don't know strategy that much. I'm not sure how to know like how many cards are out there, if the certain cards are on the table, like how to count like what my percentages are. I'm not Nate Dogg with cracking aces, but I'm just looking to like not embarrass myself and just not like bust right in the beginning. Yeah. I kind of want to spend some time.
Small bets for the first like hour and a half. Like someone tries to like make you a bet, check or call you for, I don't even know that. Someone tries to make a bet where they like go for half your stuff. You're like, no, I'm just going to fold. Just wait it out. Don't be the first guy out.
I had a huge poker face. I had like in college one time, I think I won like 10 or 12 grand in a tournament. And then I would do, which in college, obviously, you feel like the richest person in the world, but I would lose it all because then I would just play the biggest tournaments and obviously not fucking win. But dude, I had a point where I could do 25 tables at a time on like Poker Stars.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And you would do like, so obviously there's a bunch, you could do cash game, which everybody's aware of. You could do the huge tournaments like the World Series of Poker, but they would obviously online where there'd be hundreds or thousands of people in an event, which would be MTTs, they'd call them, like multiple table tournaments. And then you could do single table tournaments, which were like, you could kind of find that was like a weak spot in the like value. There was huge value in it because there'd be like $100 table, right? You buy in for $100. Obviously the pot would be for 9 people, it'd be like $900. First place would be like whatever, $500 or somewhere around there. And you would learn that like the field would be incredibly weak in those. Like out of the 9 people, like 6 or 7 of them would be people, because you could look people up, would be people that are just complete fish, that are just like, I've got $100 in my account, fuck it, I'm gonna buy into this table and like go all in like an ass clown. And so if you played a shit ton of tables and just ran a very basic, like solid mathematical strategy and you played enough, you could just make a killing. But it was a fucking grind. It was like worse than any job you could have. It just
takes so long. That's my problem with poker.
Well, those table tournaments would take like an hour to 2 hours total. So if you played, that's why I would play so many of them. If you played like 25 at a time and you had a certain win rate, you could grind for 5 or 6, 7, 8 hours and build up your bankroll to a pretty fucking good number. And then if you were a degenerate like I was at that point, you could take that bankroll and then go play in like all the Sunday major tournaments. There'd be like a $500 buy-in tournament that the first place would be like $100,000. There'd be the Sunday Million was like a $200 buy-in tournament. That first place was like $280,000. And so you would grind your dick off in these shit little tournaments to make a little bit of money and get your bankroll up to like $1,000 or a couple grand, and then just go crazy on Sunday and spend like $2,000 worth of buy-ins and go goose egg, and then you'd have to start all over again. So it's an absolute fucking grind. But people that were really good with bankroll management would make a shit ton of money and obviously have like created careers out of it. And then there's all these guys on TV and whatever. But I had a couple year phase in college where I was all in on poker, and they had all these different websites, dude, where you would go and debate hands. So like Pocket Fives, I believe, was one of the websites where, dude, you'd go on there and people for days would post a thread about like a hand history, and people would just go to war with each other over like playing it, how they should have played it. And like, that's how you learn how to get better. And that's what Nate Dogg's done with Cracking Aces, which if you're into the poker world at all, that world's fucking fascinating. But yeah, it's you could get hooked on poker very fucking easily.
Oh, for sure. 100%. My dad used to be on all the websites back in the day. I used to sit there and like pull up a chair and just watch him play. He'd be in like a 50-cent game and we'd be acting like it was game 7 of the World Series, because you eliminate 7 of the guys on the table and then it's just heads up, and you're like, that shit is fucking stressful. Because you got to make moves at that point. You're just, it's mano-y-mano. And you're like, we've made all this work. We've done all this work to get all these guys out. And now we have each a big share of the pot. And I have to now get you out. And your whole strategy changes. Like, it's now you just got to beat one guy and he can fucking just bluff you into oblivion, or you can just, it's crazy. I find it to be incredibly impressive that people can make a living off of poker, because it is a stressful game.
It's the most stressful shit. And it's like, it's literally, you're a couple instances away, some people, from having the best career of all time or being completely broke. Like there was one hand I remember I had in that Sunday Million tournament, which again, I'm in fucking college, or like I'm in my young 20s, $200 buy-in. I got down to the final like 25 people. First place I think is like 280,000, and like 25th place is like $1,200 or something like that. And I remember there's this chip leader at the table, and I was like 4th or 5th in the tournament in chips. And I think I was like small blind, and he was on the button. So he was essentially, right? And he like, somebody he raised big time. I had pocket aces. So I raised big time. He just goes all in. I got aces. He's got ace king. And it ended up coming out like he ends up hitting a straight on the river or something, and knocked me out of the tournament. I would have been the chip leader by like a mile. And literally, if that just goes the other way, like, you're guaranteed to make, probably 75 grand or something, because you'd finish in the top 5 of the tournament. Instead, you end up making like $1,900, which you lose later that night because you're on tilt and you're all fucking rattled. So it's like, if you're smart with your bankroll, you can overcome those things. But dude, those moments for people, like when you watch a World Series of Poker, the main event, and you see people getting instances like that with like 18 people left, and first place is like $8 million, and like, 18th place is like a couple hundred, or like maybe a couple $100 grand or $100 grand. It's like, are you fucking kidding me with that difference in that moment where you have to make a decision? That's like, what world would you be in any profession where you have to make a decision right there that will either make you $8 million or basically you do a little better than breaking even? It's like, what?
Those bad breaks those bad beats are just, I mean, they're some of the best things to watch on Instagram, but they're also just devastating, completely devastating. You'll see like awful. 99% win percentage going into the river, and then it's just like, holy fuck, how is that possible?
It's fucking awful. Awful. I hope you crush it, Frankie. I hope you
we'll see.
Go in there like a shark.
Where are you playing?
It's a Matt Martin Foundation for the Islanders. He has like his poker tournament every single year. They raise a bunch of money. This year I'm at a table. Usually I walk around and just like stare at all the Islanders and like act like I'm like a part of the thing, even though I'm just being like a weirdo, like weirdo fan. But this year I'm actually part of the event, so I'm like going to be sitting there playing poker, and hopefully people don't get super depressed that I'm one of the players that they're at the table with, as opposed to an actual Islander.
What a letdown.
Oh, dude, that happened to us. My first year on the podcast, we went to the Kyle Rudolph golf charity tournament in Minnesota, and they had guys like Larry Fitzgerald and Adam Thielen and fucking all these professional football players. And I walk up thinking that we are just going to be playing as a foursome, like me, Dave, Riggs and Trent were all going to be together because I think Dave was at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dave was with us.
That's when he bought that car. Remember that from that guy?
Yeah, he bought that old school car. And I walk up and they're like, Frankie, you're with group 12. And I couldn't believe that I was a quote unquote celebrity guest. And I legitimately apologized to these people, saying, I don't know how you guys got me. Like Roger Clemens is in front of us and fucking like Peyton Manning's behind us, but you got the camera guy for the pizza reviews that sometimes skulls his wedges over the green on like a mildly big golf podcast. At the time, it was like you couldn't believe the fucking level of non-celebrity that they had gotten in their group, and they ended up being the greatest people ever. It was I tell a story. It was Lou Nanny. He's the god of Minnesota hockey. He's the godfather of Minnesota hockey, and I kept calling him Lou Nan. And it was just, it was a problem. So yeah, the whole entire day was not good. Shout out to Kyle Rudolph. He just retired. Congratulations to him. So fuck.
Love Kyle Rudolph. Big country.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember my group there was like the local like bar and then like alcohol distributors that are related to like the Vikings or whatever at the time. And luckily, same exact situation. I roll up. They're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, I'm like Riggs. We do, I don't know. We do golf podcasts. Like, "Oh, you guys familiar with Barstool Sports?" They're like, "Nope." Like, what's that? That's like, fuck. But luckily, because they're in the industry, they were just huge drinkers. So I had to commit to like every time they wanted to just do a shot, or they're like, every time somebody makes a birdie, we'll do a shot. It was like a 4-person scramble. I was like, well, I mean,
that's gonna be a lot of birdies.
I feel like we're gonna make some. Like, oh, we're terrible. I was like, yeah, it's a 4-person scramble. So then, like you said, to make up for the fact that they had no clue who we were, I was like, I'll drink with you all day. We ended up just getting shit faced and having a fantastic time.
Not a bad outcome.
No, it was great. All right. I think that's all I got. Like I said, we're into football season, fall golf, fantastic time to be playing golf. So we'll have a little more Ryder Cup tidbits will be popping out. We got the Fortinet. Is that this week? I saw. They're back.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the full schedule, not FedEx. Guys are playing for position. So it'll be interesting to see what the vibe is like at these tournaments because I think Justin Thomas is playing. So imagine he misses a cut this week. That'd be bad.
Ooh.
Yeah, JT and Max, right?
Max is sponsored by one of 27 companies on his shirts. I think it's Fortinet. So I think it's a sponsor deal.
Do we have a video coming out this week, Alex?
No, we don't. We're deep in the Ryder Cup stuff.
Ryder Cup. Okay. So so it's going to be these next couple of weeks here.
Yep.
We did the Ryder Cup, WRITER, not
Ryder Cup.
Ryder Cup. Honestly, will be arguably the best golf content that's come out at this company. It's going to be on the Barstool YouTube, and our guys are going to be editing it. Of course, you knew that was going to happen. So we got Brendan, Alex, Kyle, Jared. All these guys are working extremely hard on a video that they did not think they'd be editing going into this year because we have this whole schedule. We have a lot of our own videos.
8 full videos from that.
It's going to be 8 full videos, I believe, just 2 weeks straight of just like 4 videos back to back to back to back. Then the weekend goes, and then 4 videos back to back to back to back. And then we have the Dave and Jerry video coming out right after that. That will be on our channel. So these guys have a lot of editing
Side gig
to do.
with Shane Lowry is coming out soon.
Side gig with Shane Lowry.
That.
Another Fixing Frankie we have in the can that's coming out with Dr. Brett McCabe. We've got Breaking 90 coming out. We've got 4
NASCAR
more at
too.
least. What'd you say?
NASCAR too.
NASCAR Scramble coming
Scramble.
out. I'm going to record 2 more Barstool Golfs on Thursday. One of them being Kirk Minahan, which will just be an all-time episode of Kirk coming to Long Island playing Barstool Golfs. We got Tommy Smokes coming out there. We've got Large coming out. We're going to Chicago and we're doing all those. So it's nonstop.
I think Kirk could post. He could take the lead. I feel like.
So
what is
43
the lead
right now is the low.
Francis?
43.
Okay.
Yeah. 43. And they play from the whites. It's if you can keep it straight and at Colonial and you're playing from the whites, like obviously it's like 3,100 yards, you can post a good score. It's soft greens right now, like everything's wet right now. I think that he could absolutely be in contention for the lowest score in Barstool Golf's history.
I think there's a pretty good number coming out of him. Like I think he has a pretty good chance of doing that. He hits it. He doesn't hit it far, but he hits it fucking straight. He's a competitor. He's having a year. The Mini Slam, that's all he talks about. He won the mini golf. So yeah, I think he and he's going to take it insanely seriously. So I can see Kirk. I could see Kirk coming for that 43 easily.
I'm so excited for that. And we have a couple more travel situations coming along. I don't know if we want to tease any of that shit, but we got some big stuff on the horizon here.
Yeah, we're going to fucking Casa de Campo. I mean, we're going to
Dominican Republic, baby. Big Papi Ortiz.
Teeth of the dog. I think it's like all fucking Pete Dye courses down there, which Pete Dye courses will just fuck your brain up. He is the master of making you uncomfortable. The wind. We're going to be on the ocean. You fly into like Punta Cana, I think, and then drive from there. But this place, Casa de Campo, we've been talking with them for a few years. Hasn't really worked out. We're going to be down, baby, in the Caribbean, I guess, is kind of where Dominican, that area.
I think it's the island of Hispaniola. Shares it with Haiti.
Ooh, come on. So, we've got another month or so until we're doing that. Maybe a couple months, I guess like a month and a half till we're doing that. So really jacked up for that. I've been looking at pictures, the villas on the water, pool, great weather. We're going to have kind of, I think, the whole crew down there doing all kinds of wild stuff and travel series. So that's just going to add, another 6 videos to the hopper for our fellas.
And then even on top of that, I'm going to tease people. I'm going to do a little cock tease here. If you saw my stream, I did a stream for PGA Tour 2K23 last week, and Good entered the chat. Good entered the chat. They started fucking putting in all this money in our super chat and shit like that. I didn't even know you could do that. They started dropping $200 donations, being like, "What's up, Frankie?" They were dominating the chat, if we're being honest. Like they were They were doing what the caddy was doing to me on the golf course. They were just controlling my day and just being like, "This is what you're gonna do." They've been trying to reach out saying that they want to do a video. I know that our history with Good is that we've tried to do videos with them and it never really turned into anything. I don't know if we were too eccentric or crazy, or I say the word cock and balls too much, but I think that we've figured it out. And I think that we're going to do something in the next couple months, whether we travel somewhere with them, but Riggs has been in contact with them. And I think that it's happening. I'm pretty sure that like we're close to the finish line on setting something up with Good. So that should be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. They've been very interested for a while, whether it was scheduling or conflict or whatever. It just hasn't made it happen. I know I think a year or so ago, they kind of brought it up on their podcast that they'd love to play. We've talked about it, and they dominated Frankie's chat, and it kind of reignited the conversation. They've been fantastic to chat with. They're very eager to do it. I think it'd be a hilarious kind of like meshing, colliding of worlds in a great way. So. We don't know them at all. Like on a personal level, I kind of know one of their guys that we've talked to about doing stuff, and we've interacted online a little bit here and there, but it's going to be great to get together.
I think it's way better that we'd be meeting each other for the first time on the first tee with cameras rolling. I think one of the things that we want to do with a good collaboration is really show who they are as opposed to like how good of golfers they are. I think that we kind of bring that out in people pretty easily on our channel, that you can actually see these people, and they're incredible golfers, and some of the guys do trick shot stuff, and like they are sticks, and they show that, and they're good, and they have all the viral videos of them making hole-in-ones on par 4s and shit like that. But I want to be like, who are these guys actually? You know, like who are these people? All of them. I want to know their producers. I want to know every single guy that's on that team. So that'll be fun. Hopefully we can set that up. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that'll do well. I'm just even as a fan, I'm curious to see how that goes because I've never met any of them either. So we're gonna set that up. But yeah, a lot of good stuff coming. Our boys are grinding on the Ryder Cup, which I think people are gonna go nuts over those videos. And PGA Tour's back this week. So Max, I think, has won back-to-back years there at the Fortinet. He chipped in last year, and then our boy who won the Masters when Spieth collapsed,
Danny Willett.
He 3-jacked on the 72nd hole, right?
It was bad. From 4 feet.
5 feet or something. Yeah,
it was bad. It was really bad.
So anyways, Max will be the defending champ. We love Max. He had a great tweet during the Texas Bama game that went viral per usual. Max is very good at social media, so he's back this week. So yeah, enjoy the Fortinet football, the whole deal. Good luck to Busch and good luck to Frankie.
Fuck you, Busch.
Big game. We'll be back on Thursday. Hit it hard.
Hit hard.
Hit hard.